let's talk about Robert Saleh because he's so good. He's so good. You guys were ready to fire him after the Eagles game. No, excuse me, after the Dolphins game. The defense has had roughly 3 bad quarters. 1 bad quarter against the Cardinals, 2 bad quarters, Brian Allen on the field against the Dolphins. Other than that, the defense has been lights out all season, other than 3 quarters. They're missing 8 starters from last year. Their pass rush is abysmal. They won last year with pass rush. They just overwhelmed quarterbacks, and you saw it. And Robert Saleh, a lot of people were like, well, how much is it him? Is it just his four-man pass rush? I mean, he's a zone coverage guy. He calls mostly cover 3, sprinkles in some cover 4, and has a great pass rush. Why does that make him a genius? Okay. And maybe there was something to that. I mean, how can you really fairly evaluate Robert Saleh with the greatest array of talent in the league? Well, I think it's fair to let's look big picture. The first 10 weeks of the season last year, that defense was playing at a historically great level. It was one of the greatest defenses of all time through the first 10 games of that season. It was. Run the numbers. Then injuries started happening, and they didn't end up as the greatest defense of all time. They ended up as an excellent defense. An excellent defense, the best defense in the league last year. This year, they're still excellent, but they're decimated. So they've evolved, they've improved, and Saleh has improved. Again, he came to this team with 0 experience as a defensive coordinator, never done the job before. Can't compare him to Vic Fangio. Fangio had been a defensive coordinator in Indianapolis, at Stanford. Was he a D coordinator with the Saints too? He'd been around. He'd had experience. He'd been fired multiple places and learned. Saleh, no. Saleh's 40. He's a first-time guy. He comes here. He installs what he knows. He installs the Seahawks defense. It's okay. You got to evolve in the league. Bill Walsh evolved. Kyle Shanahan evolves. Saleh has evolved. Last year, he mixed up his coverages and implemented the wide 9. This year, he is winning because offensive coordinators don't recognize his scheme. Do you guys understand that? They come into games and they're like, okay, Robert Saleh, cover 3, Seahawks defense. Nope. That ain't it. That's not what he does anymore. Robert Saleh is much more like Fangio now. A lot of man-to-man coverage, a lot of split safeties, and a lot of blitzing. Cover 1 with blitzes. And what's interesting is the Niners are disguising their coverage and winning with coverage. You're seeing quarterbacks drop back and be confused. You see it. They're not being rushed. They're not being harassed. They're not being flushed out of the pocket. They drop back. Eric Armstead's caging them in. Kinlaw, Hyder, you can't leave. Just try to read our coverage and try to throw the ball. And you see these quarterbacks what is that? What in the world is that? It looks like zone, but it's man coverage, and Fred Warner gets a pick. They're honestly confusing quarterbacks with coverages. Did you ever expect to see that from Robert Saleh? Have you ever seen a defensive coordinator improve and evolve this much in 4 years? I haven't. He's phenomenal. He's clearly brilliant. We knew that when we heard he was a chess master. I mean, you can't just be a chess master and not be brilliant. He thinks multiple moves ahead. But we've always been like, okay, well, he lacks experience. He lacks the ability to adjust mid-game. Okay. Well, how you like him now? I mean, sure, if the Niners lose the next few games and the defense gives up 40 points a game, you're not going to like him too much. But do you think that's coming? It looks like what's coming is a head coaching job for this guy. Because any questions you had about him last year, he's answering now. Was it all the talent? No. Was it all his pass rush? No. Can he vary his coverages? Yes. Look, he's a head coach on this team. The Niners have 2 head coaches, and they're both phenomenal. They're both really good. They have 2 of them. How many teams really have 2 head coaches that are good? The Patriots don't. We've seen what Josh McDaniel does as a head coach. No one likes him. He's terrible. Saleh's going to succeed as a head coach. He has the temperament. Players like him. They respect him, and he's brilliant. What an asset. But again, if you guys are into watching film, I'll break this down for you during the week. You got to watch his coverages. They're way different than what he did last year, and teams are confused. They're coming in, okay, We gotta have 18 different ways to beat cover 3 because they're a cover 3 team. Nope, not anymore. You might not see very many. You might see 5 snaps of cover 3. Again, man free. That's man-to-man coverage with 1 deep safety and a blitzer or an underneath zone defender. 2-man, which is 2 deep safeties, man covered underneath, and quarters, which is 4 deep, 3 underneath zone. That's pretty much what the Niners are doing. They're mixing it up. They're disguising it, and quarterbacks are like, what? Coach, this is not what you said we were going to be seeing. What is this? They're disguising coverages? They're playing man? They're playing quarters? What? Yeah, Robert Saleh. He has evolved. The reason this Niners defense is so good is because they're tricking people. I mean, there's a lot of good players on it too, but you see the quarterbacks dropping back like, what? I'm sorry. This was not what was in the game plan. Josh McDaniels, this is not what you said. Yeah, sorry, buddy. I mean, when you see Fred Warner pick off passes like that, you see him in man-to-man coverage on Julian Edelman, quarterbacks look at that like, what is that? Is that man or zone? I don't know. And I'm terrified now. I don't trust my eyes. If I throw it, I'm going to get picked by Fred Warner. You guys all need to give Robert Saleh an apology. Like, write him a letter. Passenger pigeon. Send him a carrier pigeon with a little note wrapped on the pigeon's ankle. Dear Robert, I'm sorry. Love, 49ers fan. He'd appreciate it. I don't think people express their gratitude enough in life. Get a carrier pigeon, just a little note on a fortune cookie thing, wrap.